Good afternoon everyone. Susantha Hewa Discussed. Ada July මාසේ දෙවෙනිදා හවස Sunday හවස 6ට තියෙන මීටින් එක අපි පටන් ගන්න හදන්නේ. අද එක අතකින් එක ස්පෙෂල් දවසක්. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි මේ අලුත් chapter එකක් පැත්තට අපේ focus එක හරවන එක තමයි කරන්නේ. So today it is a very special chapter that we are starting to see whether we can influence also for the country's benefit or the national benefits. That's what we are trying to do. So I'll make a little historical background for about 5 minutes before I introduce today's speaker. And so today's topic is religions and harmony. That's what our focus. So we know there have been lots of incidences around our country in the recent past, in our own memory. So I'll show a couple of those and then analyze a little bit. 30 years, we had a war. We killed thousands of people who are actually Sri Lankans. Then there was this event in, I think it's 2014. There was a Aludgama community divisive event where a Balasena or something like that attacked a certain community and 3 got killed. Then there was this major attack labeled as a terrorist attack on Easter Sunday carnage. That was 2019. 270 died in that event as well. So if you look at all these things in a common sense, if you look at them, lots of people now at the moment know a little bit about how these things happened, although they may not have tried to analyze why these things may have happened. So the purpose has been community division. So all these things have been done in various ways to divide the community who are in harmony for political advantage. That's what's been done. So basically, the poor on one side get involved with the poor on the other side and clash. That's what happened ultimately. Many will die. And who will gain? The politicians will gain. Not one side, both sides will gain. And they get the ticket to install more corruption as they go. And as a result, we became bankrupt country just a year ago. So let's have a little bit more. So eventually, whatever the big event that happens, the covert leaders who draft these things, so plan these things, and the traitors, they all escape. The poor and the honest suffer. So the people who were in the community, who fought, then made enemies, and then economic issues, everything, they will suffer. Then the leaders will re-emerge to protect the religions. The purpose is the same: promote violence for their advantage. So it's another way to look at what has happened. So this is not a problem that we are just trying to show. United Nations in 2022, 22nd August 22, made this statement, say, condemn abuse of religion or belief as a tool of discrimination and violence. So said by the United Nations experts and special advisors. So that's a message that's there worldwide, and we have to understand, learn, and see how to tackle it. Now, this music bit is actually in Malayalam, but there's English subtitles. So just see the English subtitles, and you may or may not agree with everything, but there is a message.
മനുഷ്യൻ മതങ്ങളെ സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു, മതങ്ങൾ ദൈവങ്ങളെ സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു. മനുഷ്യനും മതങ്ങളും ദൈവങ്ങളും കൂടി മണ്ണു പങ്കുവച്ചു, മനസ്സു പങ്കുവച്ചു. ഹിന്ദുവായി, മുസൽമാനായി, ക്രിസ്ത്യാനിയായി നമ്മളെ കണ്ടാലറിയാതായി ലോകം ഭ്രാന്താലയമായി. ഹിന്ദുവായി, മുസൽമാനായി, ക്രിസ്ത്യാനിയായി നമ്മളെ കണ്ടാലറിയാതായി ലോകം ഭ്രാന്താലയമായി. ആയിരമായിരം മാനവ ഹൃദയങ്ങൾ ആയുധപ്പുരകളായി. ദൈവം തെരുവിൽ മരിക്കുന്നു, ചെകുത്താൻ ചിരിക്കുന്നു. മനുഷ്യൻ മതങ്ങളെ സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു, മതങ്ങൾ ദൈവങ്ങളെ സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു. സത്യമെവിടെ, സൗന്ദര്യമെവിടെ, സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യമെവിടെ, നമ്മുടെ രക്തബന്ധങ്ങളെവിടെ, നിത്യസ്നേഹങ്ങൾ എവിടെ? ആയിരം യുഗങ്ങളിൽ ഒരിക്കൽ വരാറുള്ള അവതാരങ്ങളെവിടെ? മനുഷ്യൻ തെരുവിൽ മരിക്കുന്നു, മതങ്ങൾ ചിരിക്കുന്നു. മനുഷ്യൻ മതങ്ങളെ സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു, മതങ്ങൾ ദൈവങ്ങളെ സൃഷ്ടിച്ചു. മനുഷ്യനും മതങ്ങളും ദൈവങ്ങളും കൂടി മണ്ണു പങ്കുവച്ചു, മനസ്സു പങ്കുവച്ചു.
It is my pleasure today to introduce today's speaker, who is actually a teacher of English at all levels. He's taught at all levels that you can imagine in Sri Lanka. He had done a 2-year training in Teachers Training College in Bolavalana, and then went to do a special degree in English, followed by an MA and an MPhil in Linguistics at the University of Kelaniya. He served University of Moratuwa since 1996 as an instructor, followed by being a senior lecturer. So who is he? And then out of his writings, I've got 2 sentences that I want to show you, which kind of gives the message what you'll probably hear today. The causes of religious disharmony are not moral codes of any religion. Absolutely true. That's what he says. And the second one here, I'm not happy with any religion being drilled into children who are forced to swallow what they are taught. So here we are. And it's a pleasure to introduce Susantha Hewa, whom I took a little bit time to contact him after seeing this article that he's published. But I managed to do that. And he's published many other topics on the same subject area. And if you search for these topics for his publications, you will be able to read them on ethics, on ubiquity of faith, then monopoly of afterlife, and say child's right to religion versus inertia of tradition, fading of artificial borders, etc. So he's also published books. Say a study on Madalduva, for example, in 2003 in English, and so on. And then then why is he coming at this stage to Leeds? Now, I have to justify why we are putting these religions also in our discussions in relation to develop Sri Lanka. So as you know, Leeds, we are Sri Lankans for Sri Lankans, and we just learn and educate and help people to assess and decide. That's what we'll do. And in relation to economic bankruptcy, we have always trying to promote this for countries' development. All our discussions have been trying to reduce wastage, increase productivity, and promoting research as innovation. We also have adapted, the secret formula Singapore, that was used to develop Singapore, basically being meritocratic, even when you are appointing jobs under particular politicians. Then pragmatism means using whatever the person who can do the job and being very honest, even at the highest level. So those are the three values that we support. Then why do we want religions? Now, interfaith and intercommunal harmony is essential for peace. Now, without peace and unity, which is essential, and discipline, which follows that, is essential for development. So if we are actually final focus is developing our country, then interfaith and intercommunal harmony is essential, and that is also part of our job to promote peace and unity. So that's why religions are coming in to at this level to our discussion. So I'll end there, and I'll ask Susantha to take stage. Susantha, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Chula. And I feel very much privileged to get this opportunity to share my ideas with you in the forum. Today, my topic is going to be religion, religions, and harmony. All these three words, religion, religions, and also harmony, are equally important in this discussion. Now, before getting down to this particular topic, I would like to put you in the picture. Today, people are living in perhaps the darkest time of our history. Our rulers have brought the country to such a pass that for millions of our people, 3 meals a day is an unimaginable luxury. Many are hungry. We have parents who are devastated, and many youths are disillusioned. All sorts of people are leaving the country, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And people have lost their faith in politicians. So we actually have no opportunity to put our heads together to sort things out because we are deeply divided as people. Most unfortunately, we are divided on the so-called ethnicity and also religion. And some of us actually perhaps feel that ethnicity or religion or any other institution, social institution, is far more important than humanity itself. So that is our problem. So if you just allow me to get to the topic itself, there is a need to avoid conflict in a multi-religious world, multi-ethnic, multicultural world. Now, some of you might wonder why I took this word religion and both religions together, because religions apparently is the plural noun of religion. So why I take these two words in context is that these two words actually, religion and religions, belong to two domains, although one word, or religions, is the plural of religion. Why I say that is, as we know, religion has undertones of, all the positive things in the world. Love, compassion, harmony, altruism, togetherness. But when you come to this word religions, it's not like chair and chairs, not like house and houses. When you say religions, actually, the undertones are completely different. So when you think of religions, actually, we think of separation, conflict, bloodshed, persecution, and war. So the problem is that we are not living in a world of one religion. Instead, we are living in a world of many religions. So our lived reality is not one of harmony, but one of intermittent strife, continual aggression, continual hatred. So we have a disturbing question here. And the question is, although it might disturb many of us because of our cultural upbringing, the question is, have our respective religions sensitized us? Because how can we have religious strife and religious violence if our religions, respective religions, whatever the religion may be, whether our respective religions have sensitized us? Have they lifted us above our petty differences? And how can we, of all things, talk about religious aggression or religious persecution as if religion is something really dangerous? For example, if you think of these words like religious conflict, religious persecution, we must be really confused because of this incongruity of these two words. Say, for example, if you take religious conflict, these two don't go together because religious belongs to one domain which is completely different from conflict. How can there be conflict when you talk about religion? Because religion is, as we know, the most important sensitizing agent or institution in our society. So how can there be religious conflict? Because if religion has done its duty, there can't be any, we can't have this discussion today. Today we have to have this discussion because religion, it seems that, or something about religion, has not done its duty. That is the unfortunate fact. So I think we should feel confused or even scandalized and shocked. So just to demonstrate the absurdity of this, I will just take the word tribal. When you take the word tribal, you will see that we can talk about tribal aggression, tribal conflict, tribal violence, because tribal is connected with the appropriate, the suitable noun. We have no problem talking about tribal aggression because they are not incongruent. They match perfectly well. Because when you think of tribal, we always think of aggression, violence, and so forth. So there is no problem with that. But when you just put religious violence against tribal violence, actually what happens is that we are shocked because anybody might think that, these two things are just the same thing, religious and tribal. So I think there is something really wrong here. Then today we have to talk about religious harmony. And I think we are just adding to this sense of absurdity when you talk about religious harmony. Because it shows that, religious groups, the people who are divided by religion or their faith, need some kind of harmony. What on earth is that? Why do they need harmony? Because religion is supposed to be the most sensitizing agent, the very epitome of love and compassion. So why religious harmony? So it seems that, to discipline these people, we have to bring something from outside, which is hilarious because we are talking about religion. So it seems that the cure is more harmful than illness. And that is really disturbing. Then we can think of why we harbor this ill will against people of other faiths. So the morals being one of the most important aspects of religion, we can examine whether morals are the bone of contention. Are morals responsible for this kind of division? However, when you look at our people, we can see that more or less all people belonging to different religions have the same ethical codes, same moral codes, and they almost instinctively act in the same way given a situation. Just let me give an example. If you find a girl in a bus being bullied by several thugs, the passengers, whatever religion they belong to, will try to defend the girl. And they also will oppose the bullies. Whether they are Muslims or Christians or Buddhists or Hindus, they will do that. Because it is not only these scriptures that you have found in our books, it is our interaction with people in a civilized society in the 21st century. It is our institutions like law, our culture, or different aspects of culture, our interactions with people, festivals, our business relations, and various other things have actually formed a new morality which is suitable for this century. So it is not only from religion, actually, we are shaped in terms of our morals, but also there are other secular aspects that influence our moral feelings, moral instincts. So we all just oppose bullying, we oppose aggression, we oppose any kind of bloodshed or violence. So it is not the moral codes that have brought about this division. Then we will just look at, before that, I would like to just share some other aspects of this. For example, it is not only religion, but we have literature, aesthetics, art, dancing, music, various things that affect our sensibilities. We are shaped by all these things. So, for example, Albert Einstein, after reading Dostoevsky's Brothers Karamazov, he said, I have learned much more from Dostoevsky than I have learned from any scientific thinker, more than Gauss. So I think that sums it up all, that we can't just undermine the influences of other secular arts in shaping our morality. Then we go to this other aspect, that is, as we can see, religion is something like a mantra. It casts a spell on many people, on all kinds of people. Many people who are extremely decent, extremely intelligent, extremely reasonable, extremely logical, act and talk in a different language when they are in the domain of religion. Now, these actually divisions or these different way of conduct is actually about not about morals, as I said. It's about things for which there is no evidence. These are truth claims that that are not substantiated by evidence. For example, take afterlife. It is a buzzword in all religions, afterlife. You ask the most sophisticated scientists in the world, biologists or doctors, their business is only till a person breathes. And when he stops breathing, then there is a blank. We don't know actually when they wear their scientific hat and just forget everything else, they will say, right, we don't know, we have to stop here. But then our religions say, no, there is something else. There is afterlife. But we have the problem that none of these religions see eye to eye with the other person's view. One might say one thing, religion A might say this will happen to you when you die. Religion B might say, no, not that one. There is something else. Like that, we have different definitions of afterlife, of which we have no conclusive answer. So, we, as religious people, we think that, whatever other people say, right, okay, we have to abide by our religion, and, what our religion says about afterlife is the only truth and absolute truth, and we don't have to think of other things. Now, just try to think of our mundane life, day-to-day life, when you just talk about religion. Do we anywhere in any discussion, any important intellectual discussion, do we just mention afterlife? For example, when you go to the courts, the law courts, will any lawyer or will a judge say that, okay, this accused, I'm going to mitigate his punishment because, as you know, we all agree he's going to be punished in his afterlife. Now, if you believe these things as concrete truths, my problem is, why don't we have these things in our discussions? Then when you take another example, say, for example, you go to an interview for a job, and then the panel asks you why you should be selected for this particular post. Then you say, okay, yes, I am really a very hard worker. I am very diligent. I am very honest, and I am sure that your company is going to benefit by me. So far, so good. But then he says, and also, sirs and madams, I think if I work like this, it will definitely give me a very good afterlife. My afterlife will be really good. So when you say that, immediately you are going to pay the price. You are going to say that at the risk of provoking ill-conceived laughter and sarcasm. So this is my problem. Why do we have this particular thick line between what we consider religious and also what we consider secular. We live our secular life, mundane life, and we also believe in these things, but we never bring these things into our interactions. We know that what will happen if you just try to say anything like that, of which we have a very firm belief. That is the problem. Now, let me give one more example. Now, we know that our primitive ancestors, there is a vast gulf between our ancestors and us who are living in the 21st century in terms of knowledge, in terms of information. Now, they also believed in their religions and what their religions said. But actually, there was no way of verifying these truths because the technology was so abysmal and their knowledge was so poor. They didn't have any practical method of verifying these things. But we are living in the 21st century today. We have so many extremely very, very capable technology. For example, just think of this heaven and hell in many religions, even in Buddhism, in polytheistic religions, even you have hell and heaven. Those days, as Buddhists, I, for one, we just believed in hell and heaven. But now we have these telescopes, and we can just it is the heaven is supposed to be in the sky, and no telescope has shown this place. Or we have done excavations, but no excavation has found this particular hell beneath the earth. Now, when you ask a question like this, people might say, okay, you are naive. I mean, you can't see these things. This belongs to another realm. It is only when you die you can go to that. But if you think of this, actually, only in a particular mystic mindset that you can just think of these as real, because if you just think of these as concrete places, they have to be there in somewhere in the sky, somewhere beneath the surface of the earth. But there is no clue like that. But we just don't ask these questions because we don't want to show that we are very naive. Because in our culture, where we have religion taking a monopoly of our ideas, we will definitely be condemned as ignorant people. So we don't have that consolation of our ancestors who didn't know anything about this. But today we don't have that excuse. We know, because we know we are extremely informed. We have all the tools to explore the world, explore space and everywhere. Then let's come back to this particular divisions in society. These beliefs like afterlife and various other things, the origin of the world, the end of the world, the so-called natural mechanism of punishment and rewards for whatever you do. So these are all given to us by our religions. And we know that these are unverifiable beliefs. But the problem is that even in 21st century, these unverifiable beliefs, unfounded beliefs, have become the bone of contention. They have become the fault lines between our different communities. But when you actually think of them, these are open-ended questions. We all have a right to think of these things and examine and verify for ourselves whether these the claims are true or not. But still, that doesn't happen because the conversation stops where you come to any subject that is covered by religion. This is really tragic, because only through conversation we can just polish our morals. We can have a better future. We can move towards progress. But unfortunately, none of these things can be discussed because, religion says that faith is the most ennobling factor in religion, and you can't lose faith. I will just take an example to show that faith is not extremely, it is not something that is unique to religion. No, we can't live without faith. We have faith in our sense organs. We have faith in experts. We have faith in institutions like law. And we have faith in so many other people. We have faith in documents, in checks, and in various other things. And we can't have any business in the world, no economy without faith in papers. But at the same time, this faith is not sacred. You will lose faith at any moment if you have any evidence to counter this. Definitely you are going to lose faith, and that is no crime. Those days, doctors used to tell us, coconut oil is really bad for health. Then there was a shift, and some other doctors told us, no, coconut oil is the best thing. So there was this kind of, it was moving like pendulum, and every time a new expert comes and tells you that, this is this, then we are going to lose faith in the previous impression, previous ideology. But when it comes to religion, it says, no, this won't happen. You can't have any doubts. Faith has to be there. So, for whatever reason, actually we don't talk about these things. We always put them under the carpet and try to be politically correct in our conversations. In our polite conversations, we never touch on religion. You know why? Because we play this game, diplomatic game. We know that the moment you say something unpalatable to another person belong to another religion, things are going to get really upset. But at the same time, we live a kind of hypocritical life, saying that, all religions are equally good. It doesn't matter whatever the religion, right? It all says good and all that. But in our hearts, if we are not in the earshot of another person who belongs to another religion, I don't have to tell you what you think of those religions. We always say that, our religion is the only truth. That is the absolute truth. So, in doing this, actually, what we are doing is playing into the hands of different kinds of people, especially the corrupt politicians, because they take calculated effort to create these divisions. They say, yes, you have this afterlife and you have all these things. So just try to be really good in this life so that you can just have a really good life after your death. So, you enjoy a kind of, within quotes, spiritual happiness by your own suffering. You think that, my suffering is, this is, I have done, so many bad things in my previous births, or this is the will of somebody who is really omniscient and powerful. And this is nothing to do with the existential realities in our society, the economic system, the political system. We feel that these things have nothing to do with our misery. You just talk to anybody, and if he is in trouble, financial trouble, he will just talk about his own family members, father drinking, or some other problem. They never blame the politician because we don't go that far. So and this some ideas, religious ideas, actually help us very much in this. So we know now why we actually don't see the real game here, because we are playing into the hands of all these people because of this so-called faith. So the answer to this problem is, I think, we have to be very objective and dispassionate about our religious beliefs. Now, we believe in so many things, and I would say in physics, Newton's law, or then theory of relativity, which I don't know. Intelligent people believe in these things, but they don't quarrel with anybody else for slighting Albert Einstein or Newton. There is nothing emotional in any of these things. When you understand something, you don't have to have any faith because you understand that. So if somebody has a different opinion, it's okay. You can have a discussion. You are not going to kill him, and you don't think that killing for your faith is something extremely noble. Just because you or the other person believes that theory of relativity is wrong does not make you go and kill him. But unfortunately, in this religion, which is supposed to be the most, as I said, civilizing agent, there is something wrong in somewhere in this particular, our relationship with the religion, so that we become really passionate, we become aggressive. And all these things actually go against the very grain of religion. So actually what we have to do is to make the best of life. This life, I would say, I will put this in inverted commas because we use the word this life as if it is really, we have so many other lives. I mean, that is taken for granted, even though we don't know anything about any other lives. So anyway, I am using this very well, knowing that I am also one of them who believe in several other lives. Maybe not intellectually, but because of my upbringing, maybe still we feel we have the remnants of these teachings. So anyway, if you think of why we have this problem of religion playing a divisive role, I would say that even if you forget about the content of religion, we don't want to talk about the content of religion. You are free to believe in anything you want. But when you think of the pedagogy, the way we teach English, I think it is extremely abysmal, because the way we teach our religion to our children is discarded by all civilized norms. Nowhere in education do we use programming, conditioning these young minds. We always respect disagreements. We respect analysis and examination. And it is through this kind of democratic process that we progress in our education. But unfortunately, in this business of religion, we use all this outdated method of drilling the children of your children with your ideas of your faith. Now, don't you see that this is extremely aggressive? Although there are no signs of aggression, because the children are helpless. If the children were physically and mentally developed enough to fight, they would say, no, don't try to push your ideas into my head. I am a free person, and I have my right to know the things about religions, and I would select my own religion. But because these people are helpless, we just carry on it as a kind of very hoary tradition. I'm just wondering whether what we have in as a human right, our right to religion. My question is, do we have a right to religion? Or is it our parents' religion or caretakers' religion that we inherit in a certain way, inherit? So where is our freedom? Now, if I ask you whether you can teach calculus, theories in physics, chemistry, to these young children, toddlers, can they understand them? They will go mad. Then what about these very complex, even more complex than calculus and various other things that we teach them in school? What about these things like afterlife, which nobody understands? What right do you have to, thrust these ideas into the heads of these people, helpless people? So is it justifiable or is it ethical? And my problem is, why don't these lawyers who are involved in human rights, put it on the table and have a discussion as to whether we can just keep on doing this kind of violation? If religion is so sacred, the very first step of teaching a religion, if it violates human rights, isn't there something wrong, really? However good the religion is, if you don't think of the content, however good it is it okay for you to just thrust these ideas by force into the heads of children? Then after that, what happens is that, they will not, when they come to the age where they can cognitively analyze these things, they have already been fed with these things, and they will not shed these ideas. So don't you feel that whatever division we have, the root cause of this division is this hoary method of teaching your religion, drilling your religion, your ideas, the things that you don't know yourself, into your children? So when the division is there in itself, then, blaming the politicians is just one aspect of it. They are not creating divisions actually, but what they are doing is just to exploit this kind of mentality, and then they exploit it so that, they will have a good life while we are suffering, and while we are quarreling with each other because of these unfounded truths. So what I feel is that one of the things that we have to look at is the way we teach religion. Why not allow them to choose their own religion when they are cognitively developed to understand religion A and religion B and religion C, and select his own religion? And if you do that, actually what will happen is that you will have scholars of religion, you will have people who are interested in these religious ideas, who can just have a good, nice forum and talk about these things without any problem, without any clash. But instead, we have a world where we just shed a lot of blood because of these unfounded claims. This is a very tragic situation, and I think if you really want to go beyond these cosmetic changes that people do to bring about harmony, religious harmony, I think we have to go to these issues that we put on under the carpet and take them out and then discuss these things. Discussion, I think, is the only way out, and not, ascertaining, shouting that my religion is the best one and I don't want to know about other religions. So ultimately, finally, I would like to say that, Professor Chula actually did me a lot of help by showing all those video clips. And I believe that, all ideological, these constructs are not ends in themselves. Whether it is democracy, whether it is education, whether it is religion, whatever these constructs are, they are all subservient to human beings. If there should be a morality that is completely different from, completely unrelated to what you find in the scriptures, there is no Muslim mathematics or Christian algebra. When it comes to morals, we have all human morals. When you just feel compassionate, you can't just analyze this and say this is Christian compassionateness or this is Buddhist compassion. It is all just one feeling that is produced in the brain. So why do we have these labels when we can have morality? I should say that should be codified. Morality evolves, and let morality actually go to or progress by our interactions, by intellectual discussion, and not on the basis of whatever scripture that tries to keep it at a stagnant level. These things are not stagnant. Actually, these things have to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Susantha, putting in a very innovative ideas into the forum. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions and discussions. And this is not a subject that we are not going to just conclude today. It's going ongoing. And already we have a meeting planned on 16th of July as well, which will be looking into a little bit more about religious understanding and not trying to explore its rights and wrongs. That's not what we are trying to do. But we are trying more to focus on what you said about when you said, why you said religions, why religions are being more like tribals. That's the focus that we will be benefit more on. But the science also, we don't know everything yet. So we are exploring everything. So we don't really know exactly what is right and what is wrong, because even the science, what we found as right, changes again, because science is based on balance of probabilities. All the science conclusions are based on balance of probabilities, and that changes. So the conclusion change. The coconut oil story, I'm not going to explain, it's too long, but I just want to give you a couple of examples just to think about. So say if the light is not reflected, we don't see it. Okay. That's fine, but it doesn't mean it's not there. That's one thing that has given this impression I'll tell you. In the universe, we're talking about the universe because you talked about afterlife, everything else. So the universe, 95% of the universe you can't see. And that is why just 2 days ago, a telescope was launched to the space to prepare 3D images of the universe. So it will take a long time. We may not live until we see the pictures, but that is being explored. So I thought I'll give you that information as well. I'll leave the audience to ask questions because they'll have questions and comments that they want to know. Yes, please. And nobody's raised their hands yet. Yes, Kitsiri, yes, come along. Yes, Kitsiri. You can self-introduce because Susantha may not know you.
Actually, I am K.R. Abesinger, former Director of Meteorology Sri Lanka. And actually, I am a member of the Naturalist Association in Sri Lanka. So therefore, I also have written so many articles. Fortunately, I was not taken to the custody or taken to the police because I have written articles against these blind beliefs of people. Actually, I have to thank Mr. Susantha because he summarized a lot of things what we have to discuss in the local community level. Because I don't know, I don't have experience in other countries, but Sri Lanka, as Mr. Susantha mentioned, the religion is given by the parents. No one can select his own religion. Because I'm not, now I'm not telling I am Buddhist, I am a non-religion man. But I was a Buddhist when I was going to the school because my parents have made me a Buddhist. I am married to a Catholic lady and she wanted to baptize my children. But one child, elder son did not like it, but second son was baptized when he was 2 years. So he didn't know whether there is a God or there is no God who created the universe. He didn't know anything, but he was made Catholic by my wife because father of the Boral Nigambo Church made him the Catholic Christian person. So actually, as Mr. Susantha mentioned, we must have the freedom of selecting our own religion, right? And that is, it must, I don't know whether who has to do it, either the government or somebody has to make rules and regulations and allow our people to select our own religion when we know the world and subjects. So then, of course, the other thing is, actually, I don't know, Mr. Susantha has, he did not mention about that. Now, once we, especially when you learn science, actually in our degree level, now, of course, even at grade 8, students learned Big Bang theory. I learned it when I was doing my degree. So, Big Bang theory, there are so many proofs to say that Big Bang theory is correct. But still no one knows what was there in the universe before the Big Bang, but it is still scientists are doing some research, but now we know there was a Big Bang. After Big Bang, universe was formed, and there was billions of billions evolutions until the universe come to this level. Then the Darwin's theory. Everybody knows now it has been already proved that we were Homo sapiens about 100,000 years ago. We were Homo sapiens, and they gradually evolved. And after evolution, now we are talking. I am talking English and Sinhala. Mr. Susantha also can. I think he also can talk Sinhala and English. Right, Mr. Dr. Churanand may be speaking even Tamil. Right, these are all because we have been evolved. Right, but now problem is, Mr. Susantha, even the educated people, even the educated intellectuals, they also don't think in the correct way. That means even though this Big Bang theory has been accepted as a correct one, and the evolution has been now it is taught in schools also, but even the intellectuals don't think now in the correct way, because now still there are many intellectuals, as Mr. Susantha was mentioning, they are going after blind beliefs. There are so many beliefs. So therefore, what happens in Sri Lanka, actually I was not arguing whether the Christianity is good or Hinduism is good, I don't know, but I have read the Bible and the Quran. I have read all the books, and Professor Marsinger's books, Buddhism books also I have read. So therefore, I know the actually the Buddhist philosophy is the one which must be accepted by the whole world. I don't know whether you can force other people to believe it, the philosophy, not the religion, right? But now, Sri Lanka, especially in Sri Lanka, the people, our politicians, they call, and some Buddhist people call this Buddhist Sri Lanka, Bauddha Ratak, right? But no one is practicing the Buddhist Buddha philosophy. Now, for example, the Poson functions, the government allocated 387 lakhs of rupees. That means 38 million rupees to the Anuradhapura functions. And some Buddha, the monk, he collected 2 million rupees to celebrate the Poson. That means they are going after beliefs. They believe that if they do this thing, as Mr. Susantha was telling, there will be good afterlife, right? So because of that one, the economically we are going back, and financially we are going back, and traditionally all we are going back because we are not following the correct any correct religion. So therefore, I think now Sri Lanka, actually there are only 4% of the non-religion people, but in the USA I think there are 41 non-religion people now, because you must not have a religion. You must learn science and everything. Then you must think freely. Then you must accept the best thing without going after blind beliefs. Actually, at least the so-called intellectuals, educated people, must do that. Otherwise, we can't talk about politicians, because there are only, I think, 88% people of our parliament are O-level people. They have not passed O-level even, so they don't know what is Big Bang theory, they don't know the evolution, they don't know anything. So that's why for any function, first they go to the Buddhist temple, the following day they go to the Catholic church, then they will go to the Kovil, then anywhere, right? Just they want to cheat the people, going after the religious functions and all. But they are not doing the correct thing. So I think, I don't know whether I am criticized anybody. So that's what I have to tell. Thank you, Dr. Chula, and thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
And then Susantha.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. Anything else? Any other questions? Anything else? Yes, Lakshman, yes.
Thank you, Chula. Thank you, Susantha, also.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation. Kind of a different thing for our Leeds agenda. But I was completely, I was very happy to listen to the whole presentation. By myself, I agree with Kitsiri's mention. A person becomes Buddhist or Christian or Hindu not because of his or her choice, but because of their parents' religion. So they have no choice. It's a parent's religion. If the parent is a Buddhist, automatically the child becomes a Buddhist in our society. And the short video clip that Chula showed at the very start, it says the religion is man-made. Religion is man-made, and and religion is man-made, and the religions made gods. That's what it said. Religions made gods. Man-made religions, religions made gods, right? Now my one question is the religion an outdated thing now, or is it becoming an outdated thing in the global society? From Susantha.
Yeah, okay. actually, what I feel is that mostly, whatever the religion, as I told you, it's the pedagogy that is not suitable. In education, we know that we used to have corporal punishment. We used to cane students right and left. But today, we have discarded that. So we are using, instead of this teacher-centered chalk and talk, man, we are just talking about group work, child-centered education. So we are, we are progressing in education. So my problem is actually, why not? Whether religion is actually relevant to 21st century will be decided by so many factors, and nobody can just have a ruling on that. But what I try to emphasize is that, we should not just thrust our religion on anybody else, because that is against all human laws, human rights.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then, I think if you take the different countries, for example, if you take Japanese do not follow religion strongly, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
But they have whatever the social values developed by themselves, and from the very beginning, from the schools, from kindergarten. I mean, those values, societal values are, students are trained in those directions, but not following any religion strongly, to my knowledge. So
Right.
that's one example in a global society. And you mentioned, of course, I forgot to introduce myself. I was a professor of physics at Peradeniya. And when I was a student, the professor of physics, my professor, was a very good physicist, but he used to go to the, excuse me for mentioning this, I mean, I'm not any undermining or doing anything for any other side. Every Sunday he goes to the church, and he leads the church, whatever the activities, strong believer of his religion, but professor of physics, very good physicist. So then you mentioned about Einstein. Einstein has said, I am not an atheist, but I am an agnostic person, Einstein has said, which means a religious non-believer. So that was Albert Einstein. Then, like Kitsiri Abesingha, I was also a rationalist when I was in the school, and also first year in the university. I was a strong follower of Abraham Kaur, rationalist. So I didn't believe in religion, and even now I don't believe in religion. So rationalist is better than being a religious person, I think. So these are the, I don't know, maybe it looks like, I mean, the religions are disappearing slowly, maybe from a global society. That's my impression. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Another
Lakshmi.
minute, Dr. Jurana, can I take another minute?
Yeah, the two people raise a hand, but you can answer, Lakshman, if you want to.
No, actually, Lakshman also mentioned that he agreed what Susantha mentioned. That means Dr. Susantha has written his document also that man-made religions, religion made God. So we have this too many sets of chain. We can shorten the chain, right? By cutting the middle parts. Man-made God. It's a simple thing. Man made God, right? Because only man has made God, but God has never made a human being, because there is no God actually. So other thing is actually one thing I will mention. Actually, there were so many scientists, for example, Benjamin Franklin, who found lightning is a discharge from a cloud. So that time, 1752, that time he was a believer. That time there was a lightning god also. The name is Zeus. It's a D-U-S. And he must have believed about this god, Zeus god, who created lightning. That time people believed that when people do something bad, the God created lightning to kill that man. So they believed. But Benjamin was, he thought, I said, this lightning set fire to trees and all the damages. So he thought this must be something related to electrical thing. So therefore, he created a special special wire and used that wire as a string for a kite. He sent a kite and he proved that lightning is a creation of a charged cloud. So then, of course, whole world accepted. So that should be the correct way of intellectuals, not like the professor of Lakshman, right? They teach one thing in the faculty, right? Big Bang Theory, and Sunday they go and worship the God and eat that the small white. They got a pet, white pet, right? They believe that the life of God, right? Small this thing, they eat it and believe that God is inside my life. So once they come from the church, they teach us other thing, some other thing, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Kisare. Two other people raised hands. So Nilpini, yes, Nilpini.
Hi, thank you so much, Shula, and thank you, Susantha. That was really interesting talk. Susantha, you asked about human right. Isn't religion a human right? It is. In fact, it is. We talked about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights some time ago, and Article 18 says as follows. It says, everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes the freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in a community with others, and public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. So it includes changing one's religion and not to have a religion at all. So that is a fundamental human right. But the problem, there are a couple of issues here to my mind. And I think there's a French philosopher, Voltaire. It's not very often a Frenchman actually commends the English, but he said about the English and the freedom of religion in a diverse society like England. He said this, he said, if one religion only were allowed in England, the government would very possibly become arbitrary. If there were but two, the people would cut one another's throats. But as there are such a multitude, they all live happy and in peace. Now, if you look at that that quote from Voltaire, and if you look at a country like Sri Lanka, it is a multitude of religions in Sri Lanka, and we should be living in peace. There is this issue about whether politicians are exploiting the fault lines, and I think Susantha said that that's not the case. But if I understood correctly, maybe I'm wrong, but isn't one of the problems that there's an interference not only by politicians in religion, but by the clerics in politics? Is that a bigger issue, the interference by religious people in politics? So that was my question.
Okay, yeah. Actually, there is that in my talk. Actually, what I said was that culturally we are chained to our religions, and even without politicians, actually we will be divided definitely, because it's the culture which was not smiley, which didn't have a smiley face always. Thrust this religion into us, and then it has already divided us, and that is the very situation that is exploited by our politicians. So I would say that yes, politicians are not the only people who are the culprits, but as you said, actually even priests are. I don't say that the priests have to be in a stagnant position. It is true that when you look at from a religious point of view, definitely they have no business in secular things like politics. But even religion as we know, it doesn't have only a doctrinal aspect. It has so many other aspects. So they are changing, actually. They are changing. So I would like to just look at it in a kind of more open way and say, yes, they don't have any business with the politics, but at the same time, since everything is changing, even Buddhism is changing and priests are changing, and priests are coming into Aragalaya, and they don't just talk about their religion. It is all about the united action, unity. So there are these aspects. So I would not actually put the blame on priests themselves, because and the other thing is that we are trying to promote peace. So actually we can't target these religions and also priests. So that is why I say that even you talk about Buddhism as a philosophy. Yes, that is a philosophy, and every religion has a philosophy. But the problem is that the philosophy is, instilled into these poor people, innocent people, and how can they just understand these things? So they grow up with that particular, they don't understand anything, but they grow up with that particular wrapping, and then they carry it all throughout their life, and that is the problem. So yes, thank you very much. Anyway.
Chula,
Yes.
Chula, would it be possible for me to add something to say something to Nilmini?
Yeah. Go ahead, because Ranjan is also waiting. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
So Nilmini, something I would like to share with you is that Sri Lanka has a peculiar state. The duty of the Sri Lankan state is to protect and foster the Sasan, not necessarily the rest of the population. And I think that has a bearing on what Susantha was talking about in terms of the conflict between religions in Sri Lanka. I just wanted to bring your attention to that.
Yeah, thank you for that. And also, please, if you think about solutions to this problem, also please send it by email or something, because this is an ongoing discussion to take up. And on the 16th, I'm hoping that 4 lay people and 4 believing 4 religions will speak. I don't have all the speakers yet, but if you are willing to speak about your faith, please come forward. Explain it very simple terms, what the root of your belief is. So that's our idea. I have someone who will talk in Islam. I will try to talk a little bit about Buddhism. Christianity and Hinduism, I don't have speakers yet. So if you have anyone who can speak in lay terms, because we are only beginning a discussion into it, but we will take it forward, if necessary, with clergy at a later date. And the hope is to get more understanding between people. Itself will be harmonious to us. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Yes, Ranjan, yes.
Thank you, Tula. Thank you, Tula. I congratulate Susantha for the erudite presentation on the subject. I hope all of you can hear me. History is dotted with religious wars. History of mankind is dotted with religious wars, which make me wonder whether, from a historical perspective, religious war will ever come to an end, so long as the causes that give rise to these conflicts exist. That's one point. Religion becomes a problem and a source of conflict when it becomes a tool in the hands of politicians, as is seen very much in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, religion became a cause to divide and not to unite. Contra India, in India, the leadership saw a vision above religion, and notwithstanding the fact that India is the home of all religions, the leaders were able to forge a nation a nation out of so many religions and communities. That's a great standing achievement for Indian leaders, former Indian leaders. I do not know how long that is going to last because of late religion has become a tool very much in the hands of recent politicians to get to power. So as to the future of India remains to be seen. But it has to be accepted that by the time the BJP came to power, India has already laid, the Indian former leaders had laid a strong foundation. So as to whether the foundation will stay or not, we'll have to wait and see. The power of religion is receding in the world. That's the third point I want to make. The power of religion is receding. It does not enjoy the power. It does not enjoy the power that it enjoyed, say, about 100 years ago. And that is very much seen when you look at the scenario of developed countries. When the World Trade Center attack took place successfully, a certain religion was very happy. See? There was euphoria among them. And they were bragging about how the London, Paris, New York, Berlin, all these cities will be taken over by believers of that community. Notwithstanding that fear, notwithstanding that threat, what I saw subsequently was how those countries open their doors to people who suffered persecution in countries like Syria and some Middle East countries, to people who belong to the very religion who were against them, Christianity. You see, Germany had no fear. Italy had no fear. Italy still does not have any fear. Opening their doors. These are all Christian countries, but they have no fear opening their doors to people who illicitly immigrate to these Christian countries. That shows how strong they are. So this has some links. I told you at the beginning that the religious conflicts will continue as long as the causes exist. I think one of the greatest causes is poverty. So these religious conflicts cannot be discussed without discussing economic circumstances, poverty. Well, very briefly, that is my intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I will definitely accept the ideas, most of the ideas. Thank you.
Dr. Chunand, I have to give a short reply to Mr. Susantha.
Yeah.
Yes. You want to show something? Just a second.
Last question he asked is, do the poor people know the philosophy? So that is a normal man asks. Do the people know? Actually, there are so many examples where the Buddhists must never teach the real Buddhism to the people. I have so many experiences, but one experience I take about 3-4 minutes, because when I was going for lectures on a poetry to the PGIS, and at my village bus stop, there was a lady wearing white clothes, and I asked her where I called Akka. I asked Akka, where are you going? She said she is going to the Dharna Malgawa, Kandy. Then I asked her, Akka, there are 2 temples in our village. Why don't you observe Sil here? No, I don't like to observe Sil with our village people. So she doesn't like to observe Sil with own relations here. She wants to go to the Buddhist temple. Then there was no bus. There was no bus. So both of us were waiting. So I asked her. She doesn't know that I am a scientist. Then I asked her, Akka, today I am going to have a discussion. So I want to know the meaning of a Gatha. She asked, Malayas, what's Gatha? I asked, Aka sabbapapassakanang kusalas upasampada sachitta pariyotpanang eta buddha sasana. So she looked at the sky for 1 or 2 minutes, then turned to me, Malli, I don't know the meaning of that gatha. Right? So she doesn't know, because even though she is going to the temples and Dana Marga of observances, she has been never told the meaning of that gatha. Wonderful. That is very, very, it gives a very good, I think all of you know that meaning of that gatha. The third line is very important. So chitta pariyodapara. So kiya chitte pisu. Then still there was no bus. Then I asked her another question. Akka, that do you know the Mahamagna Sutta? Then she said, yes, Malli. Evam mesnang ekan samam bhagava. Yes. Then Akka, I asked her, Akka, today I want to discuss that also with my children there. So just tell me about 5 Mangala Karunu. Then again she looked at the sky for a while, then said, Malli, it starts with the Evam mesnang ekan samam, but I don't know the Mangala Karunu. So that is the poor lady, but she has been not taught by the Buddhist monk. They teach Bana and everything. What poor people say, they say the same thing what Buddhist monks say, then say sadhu. The number of sadhus monk says, say 1 sadhu, then this lady says sadhu. Then Buddhist monk says 3 sadhu, then sadhu, that's all. No, even poor people, if they are taught the meaning of this gatha, they know. So that is the answer to Mr. Susantha's question. Actually, poor people or rich people, they must be taught about the meanings of the gatha and other things. But our Buddhist monks never do it, even over the media. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kitsiri. That is called Dassanena Pahatabba. We have to learn, you have to be taught correctly. So on the 16th, we'll talk about the religions individually, so the co-understanding. The purpose is obviously what you said, religion is not anti-human. Religion is not dangerous. So that's what Susantha told us at the very beginning. So that's what we are trying to teach more. Yes. Any other questions there? I think it's quiet. We had a very good session. It's a very new beginning to think about, how our country as a nation can develop. And this is an important area that we want to discuss so that we bring, although this is not relevant, as Susantha said, bring in interfaith harmony. There isn't anything like that. That's what you're saying. But if we get understanding for each other, then that's what our goal would be. So we will conclude here. Thank you very much. If you have any ideas, just email into me. Next week, we will be going back to discuss university education on a second round. So thank you again. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Susantha,
Thank you.
Dr. Chula.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Saman, good evening. Lakshman, right.